Hello and welcome to another episode in the Recz room. I'm your host Supriti Batra, and today I'm joined by Kewal Kotian, a seasoned marketeer who has now ventured into entrepreneurial journey with the Leafbud. With over 27 years of work experience in the corporate with brands and agencies like the Times Group, Ogilvy, and Deutsche Bank, Kewal now has taken on the entrepreneurial journey with Leafbud, which is a purpose led ceramics business. His story is one of reinventing creativity and staying rooted in values. So, welcome, Kewal. Tell me, you worked with giants like P&G, Castrol, and Unilever. What, in your idea, is a definition of a timeless brand?
So thank you for having me. And I work with, not for, because I worked with several agencies that they have flights with. Most of these brands, I deferred our timeless that they exist for so many years and customers who are choosing them, etc. I think the fact that they become a part of popular culture, you refer to them in your normal lingo, to me, that is by far one of the reasons that you would actually say that this kind of established. And let's take Nike here, the entire tagline of
Yeah,
just,
just do it.
it's not just a tagline for them anymore, right? Most of us use it in a regular day.
It's become a culture.
It's become part of popular culture. Of course, this is just one of the reasons they do a lot of good product distribution, the way they do it, their product quality, etc. But I think if one was to pick up from a brand sense, I think if a brand is able to become a part of your life as
Yeah.
part of popular culture,
Yeah.
they by far become timeless to do. Otherwise, there are obviously several things that go into a product,
Correct.
the
Correct.
in the way.
It's the recall that matters the
I
most.
think from a branding sense, if one was to give a short answer, I think that would be it.
Yeah. So, like toothpaste. Nobody talks toothpaste. We say Colgate. So it's just that brand recall that every time you talk of a product, it's one brand that is just kind of registered
Absolutely,
in
and
your mind.
India has great example. I can't for the life of me remember anyone saying I want a steel cupboard. They would always say I want a Godrej,
Godrej,
cupboard.
correct.
Right?
That's right.
So these to me, when you reach that stage where you become a part of somebody's lingo, that's when you become timeless by far. Nike, Godrej, tons of examples in India itself. Thumbs up, de do. Not I don't want a
Cola drink,
right?
right.
So these are some great examples. Let's Google it, right? We don't search it, we Google it,
We
right?
Google it.
It's after all a brand, right? So
Correct.
I think to me, from a branding sense, that would be the answer. From a pure play product sense, of course, there are several
Correct.
reasons why I would want to do it.
Right. Tell me, how has the brand communication evolved from an Ogilvy to the current completely digital first narrative?
Yeah, I mean, I've been around for close to 30 years, so I've seen communication change over a
Changing
period
over
of time.
period.
Let me give you that answer in two parts. What stayed common to date,
Right.
and what stays relevant to date, and
Right.
what has changed.
Right.
The concept of storytelling hasn't changed at all. No matter what anyone would tell you, storytelling in old days, storytelling in the way now, relevant storytelling
Yes.
stays, as good as it was 30 years back,
Correct.
right? The formats in which you do it, the executions of how you do it has changed a lot. I think a nice way to explain that is when I was at a Google workshop and they explained the term called MOT, which is moment of truth,
Yeah.
right? Let's say maybe 10, 15 years back, that moment of truth from the time that you see a product and you actually buy it, which is the moment of truth, used to be a few days.
Correct.
You went, you probably saw something on
On a television ad
on a
or
television
something.
ad, or even if you walk through a mall or a shop and you've seen it,
Yeah.
you go home, you'll decide, you'll discuss with a few people,
Right.
then you'll make a decision, then you'll go and probably bargain a bit, and then pay for it and get it back. That moment of truth has become shorter and shorter
Shorter.
and shorter, and now that lot of our purchases are digital, that moment of truth is down to a few seconds.
Few seconds.
Right, and therefore the challenge for brands from an execution point of view is even more, because beyond maybe a 30 or 40 second, if
the
you've
time
not
span,
captured your customer, you probably
You
lost,
lost the
because she's
customer.
gone to the next website.
Right.
And I think that's the essential change that we see, that the challenge for marketeers and for salespeople, for online e-commerce companies, the time which they have to convince and therefore you
It's
see
too
that in the
small.
formats, right?
Yeah.
Short video
Crisp.
formats, crisp,
Yeah.
storytelling nevertheless, but still in shorter, crisper formats. I think that's the essential change that I've
Yeah.
seen. Again, just to highlight the top change, and one could discuss many micro
Yes.
changes, but I think that pretty much the formats in which it is presented to the customer has changed a lot, and the fact that you have only that much time to convince the customer. I think that's the essential change that has happened over the years.
So from this storytelling thing, would you have a recall of a campaign that is still stuck to you? It could be either because it was very bold, or it was very quirky, or it was risky, or it was overwhelming, something that kind of stuck with you.
Do you mean any random campaign or
Any
something
random,
that we have
yeah.
done in the past?
I'm happy for both.
Yeah, I'd like to blow our own trumpet, so we'll talk about talk. So back in the day, I think this was 2006, and I was working with Deutsche Bank, and we had just launched that bank, retail bank in India. Very, very late, obviously. Everyone
Yeah.
else was Citibanks and the Indian banks,
The likes were
etc.
already
there,
there.
well established, and
Yeah.
all that stuff. And I think the challenge was that why would anyone come to this new bank who probably has 2 branches in Bombay, 2 in Delhi, and maybe all put together around 7 to 8 ATMs, right? Customers wanted
Want
the
a-
benefit of
Exactly.
I can walk into a branch, and if I'm not wanting to walk into a branch, at least I access my
Access the
ATM and
ATM.
all that stuff. At that point of time, I think it was risky, bold, and it also paid dividends, because what we did, I think with the team, and it's not just few of us, the entire team put together and said, hey, we'll work this disadvantage to our advantage, right? The whole idea, the campaign idea was that, hey, now from 8 ATMs, we have 17,000 ATMs, right? And the concept was very simple. All we did is we shut down almost 90% of our ATMs. Right, we had only 1 or 2 captive ATMs, and obviously we saved some money with all the shutting down. We used that money budget, whatever we had, to negotiate a deal with Visa, who was the card service provider.
Right.
Right, and said that we'll pay you this fee, allow us access to all your
network.
Of course, it's very prevalent now. Now you can
Yes,
use any bank
any
card,
bank
but that
card.
time it was
It
not.
wasn't
It
there.
wasn't there.
Right.
And we were one of the first, because we were small. It wasn't attributed to us. Then I think ICICI came later and did it also. But it was so good for us. It was risky because you're shutting down ATMs. It was a bold move, because
Right.
we actually went there and told the customer we've got 17,000 ATMs, right? And it paid dividend, right? Suddenly we had this whole rush of acquisitions, etc. That I think in a matter of 6 months we acquired close to 1 lakh of customers. So I think that's something that stays with me because we were involved in it. I'm sure globally there are many other campaigns, but we'll talk about our campaigns.
Yeah, that's an interesting one, that you're shutting down like 17,000.
Yes. I mean, most people would say you're crazy. What are you doing? This is our problem, and you're making it worse.
Making it worse.
Right?
Yes.
But it worked. It could have been very risky, and it could have
It
backfired.
worked
but
like a reverse psychology.
it worked so well that
Yeah.
other banks adapted it. In fact, RBI mandated that now all banks should be able to access all bank
All
ATMs.
bankings.
Right? To that extent, we are a little bit of the unknown revolutionaries, I think.
Ahead of the times.
Yes, correct.
Okay, you've led various marketing, campaigns, both in large corporations and smaller ones, and nimble startups as well. How do you adapt your approach in each?
See, in large corporations, by default, the teams are larger, right?
Correct.
And a lot of the view is democratic in a good way, right? And you have to take all the stakeholders involved before you make a decision. Uh, and sometimes decisions take longer than they
Longer,
should, right?
yeah.
Because you probably will make
Have
a
to go
decision.
the entire channel and the
Yes,
hierarchy.
you may not have everyone on board, so you will decide to test it.
Yeah.
Then you'll get some results. So net in the larger organizations, whatever you do, you most probably will not fail because you've done the rigor, right? And
The
you've
due
made it
diligence is
safe.
done and-
You've made it safe. Is it mercurial and out there? Maybe not, but it's safe for sure. In smaller organizations and like the one that I run now, it is in a good way, a bit autocratic. So you're deciding.
Yeah.
You don't have the time, you don't have the money, you don't have the resource to wait this long,
Wait.
because if you wait and you decide to, deep dive and all, not to say those are bad things, but if you decide to do that, many a times the opportunity you have might get lost.
Yeah.
So I think there are different styles and different approaches. None of them are wrong or right. In the smaller one, you may be spectacularly successful, but you may fail fabulously, right? But you have a chance of being mercurial to that
Right,
extent, right?
right.
And that's what's exciting for me, at least. But yeah, there are two different approaches. I think the net result should hopefully be the same in
The
both.
same, yeah.
But now that I'm a part of this world, I think it's easier because you're deciding,
Yeah,
and then
and you're taking more risks in your decisions as well.
it is a risk, but the win or the loss both is
Both is
yours, and
yours.
you don't have anyone to say that, hey, because somebody decided I couldn't
I
do
couldn't.
it. There are no excuses.
Yes.
Right. So it's exciting in a way, but yeah, that's the essential difference between the two.
Right.
And it's obvious that I enjoy the latter.
Because that's your journey now.
Yes.
Okay, what is the one myth in branding that you often hear and you disagree with?
So I think in the earlier days it was a bit true, but now I think it's untrue. More is better. So for example, if you run your number of spots, the large soft drink manufacturers should do that, right? The ad could be as rubbish as it was,
Yeah,
the
but
commercial,
the-
but you ran it with so much frequency that people would have recall, right?
Right.
I think that I found it a myth even that time, and I find it because I think a great story, a great narrative, even if you run it a couple of times,
Yes.
it will stay with the customer. And today, the whole concept of virality is that, right?
That.
Because it was great, it became viral, and then viral is something that you don't spend money on.
Yes.
Right? It becomes viral by
Viral
itself.
by
I think.
itself.
I think the myth of putting money behind frequency is at least in the startup world, it's not possible, and it's also not advisable, right? Because you have limited monies, etc., etc. And I know a lot of my friends and peers who are in large corporations also started thinking like this, right? Let's not just pump money
in money behind a-
frequency. Let's start making great stories. So
Yeah.
one of two things happens, right? A, you have a great story out there, and B, is you've saved money in unnecessarily pumping money over there.
And I think a great story always sticks with you for a very, very long time.
Absolutely.
Like I can't forget that Cadbury's ad where this girl just jumps into the stadium and she's holding a Cadbury because her boyfriend has just hit
Yeah,
her six.
absolutely.
It was such a moment that they had captured, an emotion that they've captured. So I
Absolutely.
think, yes, like
Cadbury,
you said,
another example of nobody says chocolate, right?
it
in
says
India.
Cadbury. Right.
Correct.
So it's all about story that
Yeah.
you...
So let's flip that idea, right? If you have a great story and you're a large corporation, imagine doing both. You have a great
Oh,
story and frequency.
it's like a win-win.
Then you've hit the ball out of the park, right?
Absolutely.
So I think this don't bank on putting money on frequency and getting a win. If that happens because it's a good story, great.
Okay, what does a purpose-driven marketing mean in a world driven by trends and virality?
See, first of all, purpose-driven marketing, at least my view is that, it's not only about I'm going to help somebody who is not so fortunate and help them, grow their business in a certain way and a little bit of empathy, etc. I think profitability is important everywhere,
Everywhere.
whether it's a regular business or whether it's a
Absolutely.
cause-driven, purpose-driven, etc. Right? So I think we in our minds we should make that difference. And I speak to a lot of venture capitalists who invest only in purpose-driven. They are very clear that just because you're a great story and you're doing something which is uplifting a certain set of society, we're not going to invest in you. We have to see the growth story and the profitability
Exactly.
story, because in the end of the day, the profitability is what is going to fund that purpose, right?
Yeah.
So to us, I think you can't divorce the trends from this, right?
Yes.
Trends will be then. I'll give you our own example, right? We work with a lot of artisans and artists who don't come from famous and privileged setups and backgrounds, right? They are from small villages, etc. Right? We ensure the primary objective with them is that there is a monetary benefit for them,
Yeah.
right? The secondary objective is that we give them a platform that gives them a name, and it's not only us, right? And we help them in a way that they can operate even without us,
Okay.
eventually,
Okay.
right? To us, that's purpose driven, right?
Right.
I don't know whether it fits into traditional definitions, but to me, that's a purpose driven
Yes.
the marketing that we are doing, right? And I see no reason for me to deviate from that, right?
No.
But when we are working with them, we are of course discussing some trends, etc. Maybe they're great artists, but they're missing a certain trend. So that's where we come
That's
in.
where you come
right?
in. Yeah.
So it's no different. We just have to do it with a lot of purpose, right?
Right, right. Okay, from a corporate boardroom and getting into a handcrafted ceramics, what inspired you? Where did it all start?
I think the essence of Leafbud should answer that question, right? We are into handmade ceramics and artisanal serveware, etc. It could have been some other product category. The idea of Leafbud is that we are non-conformist. We are odd. We are slightly different, right? We want to cater to people who are not really catered. They are a part of the secondary and the third level audiences, but they are not catered to directly. We want to cater to them. We want to work with artists who don't have platforms. We want to give them. So the brand ethos was what got us together, and then obviously this product category is something that I've worked a little in the past in my professional stint, and therefore we thought it was a great category to be in. Also, there are trends. Since we're talking about it, right? Post COVID, the concept of people eating in home,
Yes.
hosting in home,
Yes.
actually went up drastically. And whatever, in our dipstick stage, whatever studies we did, we realized that while there was this revenge eating out after COVID went away, but largely the concept of eating at home,
and
hosting
doing
at
hosting
home,
at
bringing
home.
your friends home, got a huge fillip. And a
Right.
natural outcome of that was, hey, now I don't want this plasticky looking, similar looking
Yeah.
tableware. I want something
unique and different.
unique, different. Actually, more importantly, something that reflects me.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So that whole concept, it was not even a trend. It was a wave.
Yeah.
Right. And today, people actually buy serveware, and we see that firsthand because it reflects their personality. So a trend was one of the reasons that we got into this category, and purely for the love of it from a creative point of view, right? You get to work with artists from all walks of
All
life,
walks of-
all over India. We are 100% India. So all of our stuff is India. We don't import stuff from China or anywhere
Or
else.
anywhere
So
else.
there's a certain nationalism
Yeah.
involved in it. But because for no other reason, but I think our artists are one of the best in the world.
Yes, we have a plethora of artisans
Yes,
and very good
you
ones.
know, India is like that many different countries, right?
Yes.
And every different state has a
State you has a
different kind of
different.
art form. So within India itself, we have a great market for this. So
Absolutely.
Yeah. So there
Absolutely. How did your branding background influence the storytelling at Leafbud?
I think all our partners and they're very upset with my branding background because I'm constantly giving them inputs and
Inputs on it.
telling them how to do their stuff better and all that stuff, and we so yeah, there is a certain negative element involved in it, but I must be honest with you, I now work with certain set of partners, and I consciously divorce myself from the brand and
Brand.
marketing part of it because I believe my partners who are a lot younger than me are up with the trend and they
Yeah.
know what's working, etc., etc.
Yeah.
So I think I let them do
Take the lead.
what they want to do. I come in at maybe a latter stage where
Right.
you have to sharpen the pencil and fine-tune
Fine-tune
it.
it.
That's where I come in. So for me also, it's a great effort to divorce myself
Right.
and not comment at early stages. That's my input as far as branding is concerned. I largely involve myself with strategic efforts and
Yeah.
the
The
B2B,
product
B2B
side
sales
and
and the product
sales
sales.
side.
I enjoy spending more time with the artists and working stuff with them. As much as I do enjoy branding, but I think my partners are doing a great job. So I just let them be. I would like to say I guide them in a certain way, influence them, and sometimes coerce them into doing what I want to do.
Okay, you've been working with artisans for your brand. What has been the most surprising challenge that you would have found in building a brand which is a product based and especially with artisans?
Surprising, we work, like I said, we work with a lot of artisans who are not from metros or not even mini metros. They're in smaller town. I'm really surprised, and thanks to the whole internet and digital culture, right? They are becoming very aware,
Aware.
right? And in fact, sometimes when I go to a certain artist, she will tell me that, hey, I think दुनिया में आजकल ये कलर चला हुआ है, ये glaze चला हुआ है, why don't we try stuff like that? So they've now coming out from just being in their four walls to exploring
Exploring and
the world,
experimenting.
yes, so I think they're doing a great job of learning themselves, which makes our job a bit easier. Also, they are understanding the business side of it, right? The whole concept of pehle, earlier there was that we made a product and it has to go to a shop,
Correct.
physical shop.
Physical shop.
Now they understand the whole concept of online and that it can be sold online. A lot of them have told me ki, why don't you introduce us to your logistics service provider? You can get your stuff picked up from here.
here.
We can ship it directly from here. So they've really evolved
Yeah.
from their understanding. I think people like us, and there are a few people like us, have played a role because we've not been that, hey, we want to keep you away from the limelight, so we, own the stage. We've actually empowered them to also understand, right? Tomorrow they may choose not to work with us and may choose to work with somebody
solo
else.
or-
But that's what purpose driven is all about.
Yes,
right?
it's a very empowering thing that you're not only taking them as artisans and building your business, but you're building them as a community who can be self-resilient and survive if you're not there, for example.
I couldn't have said it better. That's exactly where we are. Because at the end of the day, we never were meant to be, and we choose not to be a mass market player where we're doing tons of stuff and all that
Correct.
stuff. For that, we'll do B2B.
Right.
But as far as the D2C customer is concerned, we're working towards working with a select audience, and
Yeah.
and therefore
Who appreciate this kind
who
of
appreciate stuff
work.
like that, and
Yeah.
therefore we have no qualms in empowering our artists in the way that we should.
Great. Okay, tell me, Kewal, how do you balance aesthetics, storytelling, and commercial stability in Leafbud?
Yeah, no, okay, I feel that pain every day, right? Uh, so, like I said, right, we are all about handmade, handcrafted, and therefore, by nature, when you're doing something that's handcrafted, there's a limit of number of pieces that you can do, right?
Yes,
Because beyond a
absolutely.
certain point, even the artist not only gets bored, their hands don't run in a certain
In a
way
certain
to give you
way,
the same
yeah.
thing. So, at best, you'll have 20, 30 pieces of something like that. And, I feel it a lot, especially during the last season that went during Diwali, where you have corporates coming and saying, hey, Kewal,
I
I
need
want
like
300
200,
mugs and
400,
400
yeah.
mugs. And, my heart burns because the business side of me is,
Yeah.
I'm just going to lose money. And I say no.
Yeah.
Right, it is an extremely painful no, but yes, we have to say so. We try and balance, but usually the hardest part is to say no, right? Because A is you're giving away business, and B is unlikely that client is going to come back again.
again,
Right?
yeah.
Now, how do we surmount that problem and
Yeah.
balance it? We now have, like I keep talking about, a separate B2B division, which we don't even put up on our website.
Okay.
Right? Those is not meant for D2C. Those are a slightly more, I won't say mass, but slightly more executable
Easily
in a larger
larger
format,
scale,
right?
yeah.
They are simpler design. They have some amount of customization that is involved in it, and that is what fuels the business side
Yeah.
of the whole thing, right? Because
That brings in the commercial.
correct. Yeah. After all,
Yeah,
we're a
of
business. I mean,
course.
if we keep doing what we love, which is not giving us maybe a lot of
Yeah.
profitability, or not maybe gives us profitably but not volume, then it becomes
Then sustainability
unviable,
becomes
right?
difficult for you.
Right. So we are. But as far as our D2C is concerned, we are very clear. In fact, if I may say something which is very unpopular, we don't make products for customers. We make beautiful products, and we think, and because they are limited edition, we think that the customers who love them will come
Will
and
come
find
back.
us, right?
Yeah.
They'll find us.
They'll
and
find you.
They'll buy it, and we will sell it out because it's only limited edition, right? And going away from conventional norms of marketing, we are not. Hey, you want a round mug and you want your logo and your name.
We're not doing that.
We're not doing that.
We're
right?
exclusive. You're the
We're-
Hermes.
I wish, but yeah, eventually at some point of time, maybe. But at this point of time, we make. I don't mean to sound nasty, but we make great products, right? And
Yeah.
I'm sure there are customers.
And when there is a great product, the customer does find you.
Yes, and
Yes.
maybe all of the customers may not like it, but I'm sure there are people who do like it,
Yeah.
right? And they will come and
Absolutely,
find us.
absolutely, totally agree. Okay, tell me, what is that one philosophy that you have brought into your business, which you would have learned in the corporate, and one that you would have left behind completely?
Yeah, so I think what I've been practicing from the very beginning of my career is focus on a particular task, a particular goal rather, and you may or may not know how to achieve it. So next level is to learn, go crazily and learn how to achieve that goal. And once you mastered that, you take it to the next level. And it's a loop, right? You keep
Right,
doing
you
that,
keep
and
doing it.
therefore you're getting more and more better in what you do. I think again, something that I bring from my past is execution, right? To me, we're a country of 1 billion ideas, right? Ideas, in this room we'll probably have 50 ideas, but unless you can't execute your idea to a nicety, even if you execute it badly, it's going to fail.
Fail,
And unless you don't execute it well, it's a great idea. It stays within the room. So I think those are a couple of things I bring from the past. What I leave behind is the concept of, oh, this is his job. Every job is your job.
Is your job.
Right? And
Take ownership
in
of it.
my business right now, I am the CEO, I am the logistics guy, I am the packer, I am the finance person. Not to say that there are people
Yeah.
who are not there, but when you have a lean team, there are literally one people manning each one of these
Yeah.
posts, right? If one person is not there, you can't stop.
Stop.
Right?
Yeah.
So in the past, you had luxury of teams which were 20, 25 people. And, if one person or two people or even three people are not there, there's somebody backing you up.
Correct.
Right? I wake up every morning, I come to work telling myself that there is nobody else who's going to do this job.
Everything is my work.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I'm sure there are people.
There
in
are
office who
people,
do
yes.
that,
There is a team, but then yes.
I leave the concept behind that there is a team, there is who's going to do my job. And therefore, luckily there are no bad days because there is somebody there, and if not, you're going to do something about it. So yeah, that's it.
So, Kewal, you've worked with and led, very large and diverse teams. What makes a great team click as per you?
See, I think empowerment, and I don't know whether you watch cricket or use cricket analogies, but I think that Saurav Ganguly was a great captain,
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
He put together this great team, and one concept that he followed and which stuck with me is, while he was the captain of the team, he appointed task captains, like Yuvraj Singh and Mohammad Kaif were fielding captains. Rahul Dravid and Sachin Tendulkar were batting captains, right? Because they would take...
Delegating the leadership.
Actually, not delegating, it is empowering them to
Empowering
saying that as
them.
far as batting is concerned,
You are
even
the
I
one.
will listen to you.
Okay.
Right? And I follow that, it stuck with me then, and I follow that even today. So, for example, there's this young lady who works in our team, and she does the cataloging. Now, of course, I know cataloging, but she does it on a daily basis. So, to me, she's my teacher. Right? She is the captain of cataloging, and therefore I will listen to her. So, if we are in a stalemate of a decision, we go with her decision.
Oh.
Right? Because she's doing it day in, day out.
Day
I
in,
am not.
yeah.
I just know how to do it. Right?
Yeah.
So this whole concept of job captains, in another word, empowering a certain
Yeah.
person to do their job well, is something that I follow. I think I've had some fair measure of success. Today, when you look back, right, and I don't know whether we talk about it, but when you look back, how do I measure my success is almost everybody who's worked with me are at super positions, whether in the corporate world or whether running their own business. And that makes me very proud, right?
Yeah. Because you've given them that power to be empowered and,
Yeah.
kind of take the decisions and run the show on their own.
Yes, well, they had the talent and they've done all their learning, etc. We just gave them the platform, right? And they've done very well.
Okay, Kewal, as a leader, how do you approach mentorship and feedback in creative environments?
So there are two types of. I feel first of all environments are creative because in the good old days, creativity was restricted to the creative people. ऐसा कुछ है नहीं. All of us have a little bit of creativity in us.
Building a business in itself is a creativity.
Is
I
a
believe.
creative
Yeah.
concept, right? In fact, you should build all businesses creatively. So in a general environment, I think it's all about taking everyone's views and at the end of the day, taking the best idea forward with pure play creative people, right? Whose business is creativity, right? You have to be a bit sensitive because by nature they're a bit
More emotional
they're
and
more
sensitive.
emotionally and not in a bad way because they are more emotionally invested in what they're
Yes.
doing, right? I think the way the commentary you do with them has to be extremely understanding, right? And I've done this for the last 30 years and I've worked with some of the biggest names of creative backgrounds in all categories, and I won't take any names. But yeah, you have to be a bit sensitive because काफी egos होते हैं, and it's always so I always start with saying that what a brilliant idea. So that's a trick, right? Always start with what a brilliant idea, no matter if you hated the idea to its core. right? But I think and the people who will hear this will probably now kill me, but they'll say that, what a brilliant idea. But
But
agar
you
ऐसा ही
know.
करते हैं, so then they know कि अरे now, so the creative guys who know me, they'll say, now you started with your but and you'll get what you want, right? So in the end of the day, it's a rapport, right?
Yeah.
Once you have a great rapport, even the best of creative minds will trust you and take what you have. And two is, if you have a requirement with a creative person, right? You have to be very specific in terms of what the brief is, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, you are unnecessarily making them run. A great example, and I was telling someone the other day that aajkal it's all about chat GPT, right? But if you don't have the right prompt, you will not get what you want.
Absolutely.
So conceptually, it's that age-old stuff of get your brief right. It still continues in different executions.
Yes.
That's how I talk about it, right? Get what you want right, and you'll get what you want.
Correct. Yeah. It's very important to plant the seed that you have in your mind. Otherwise, the person will not be able to deliver what you are thinking.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And of course, the ego massages aside.
Okay. You often say that you're only as good as your team. So, how do you build your team and that you're so proud of?
देखो ऐसा है, simple truth is that you should make a team that is so good so you don't have to work at all. Right? वो काम करेंगे, आप सबके applause ले लो and खुश रहो. Right?
But usko build karna is the challenge, na?
Yeah,
So,
on a
yes.
serious note, see, the idea is that everybody who's working with you is there because they have some amount of talent, some amount of expertise, some amount of knowledge,
Yeah.
right? And, because it's very rare that you'll take a randomly out of connect person and put him there and then train the person, but that also happens. But so given that they have at least the foundations in place, all you need to do, in a way, it's a little bit like pottery, right? You just have to mold them into the perfect art piece that you want, and then they'll do the rest. I'm telling you that, and I learned this slightly differently because in my early stages and very, very early stages, and not to all my bosses, but at least some of them were so hands-off.
Yeah.
Like they didn't care. They said, karo. That you just got that freedom and you did it. So I said that, hey, why don't we flip that and use that as a way to deal with people, right? So no offense to some of my bosses. I love all of them. I still meet with them, but yeah.
Great. Okay, what advice would you give to young marketeers who are entering the field today?
Do the grind, right? There is no substitute to the grind.
There are no shortcuts.
There are no shortcuts. I spent the first 10 years of my working life, to me, was a workshop of execution, right? See, because you may not master everything, but as long as you're aware of all execution, it holds you in such good stead in the future that nobody can pull wool over your eyes, right? Today, when you're talking to your vendors, your partners, your suppliers, they can't tell you ki aisa hai because you've done it.
You've done that. You've been there and you know the whole process.
So, without meaning to be judgmental, but quite often I see nowadays youngsters in the first 4-5 years, before they've even reached the 10th year, they want to become CMOs and this and that. Ban bhi jaoge, but there is no substitute to experience. Right? So, while I'm not saying you shouldn't grab the opportunities you get, you should. But in your mind, you should keep focusing on learning and doing the grind and execution. I keep repeating execution. There's nothing more important, right, than that.
Let's get into some personal side of yours. What is your ideal Sunday look like when you're not working at Leafbud?
Well,
I'm sure you will be working on a Sunday on a leave, but that's why I said when you're not working on a leave.
Unfortunately, in our category, most of our orders happen on the weekend, right? So you're working. But again, the concept of acha team banao to wo kaam karenge aur aap relax karo. So I practice that. So unlike, I must be very, admit this, that you must be seeing a lot of startup stories and entrepreneurs, and all of them say that, hey, I'm obsessed and I work 7 days a week, I'm working 24/7. No such thing with me, right? I like my good night sleep. I like to relax on the weekends. And I work hard during the day so that I can sleep very easily during the night.
During the night.
I like waking up fresh, going to work in time, and finishing in time. I encourage my team to finish work in time and go. So to that extent, I'm very classical startup entrepreneur guy. I take things as it comes. Problems आएंगी जाएंगी. That's okay. You have to deal with it as it goes. So typically Sunday would be relaxing at home with family and
With a cup of chai.
with a cup of chai, not necessarily chai. Usually there are Sunday brunches and
okay.
we enjoy a good drink. So so yeah, it's Sunday weekends largely we keep for socializing. With friends and family, right, and colleagues, etc., etc. It's good.
It's ideal.
It's ideal. You
Yeah.
learn new things from new people
Right.
and all that stuff. So yeah,
Great.
that's a fun place to be.
Okay, as a writer and a reader, are there any books that have shaped you, in your life, and how you think about life now?
Again, I won't give you a conventional, some fancy book
Fancy
name, and
book.
also I'm a very strange reader. Either I'll read complete garbage like comic books, right? Or I'll read some completely complex Atomic Habits kind of book, right? There's nothing in between.
Nothing in between.
Right? I like things that are simple. Simple read. So, for example, one of my most favorite authors is R.K. Narayan.
Oh,
And the whole series he did on Malgudi days and
Malgudi
that
days,
village.
yes.
For me, that's most alluring. So, in my mind, I have imagined this village and, I've identified with those people.
Yes.
They are like my friends now and I'm so into it. I like reading asterisk and oblique comics because, again, there's
yes.
this
It's
little
a-
village and all that
yes.
stuff. So, it may sound a bit flippant, but to me, these are life learning. Some of the things that happen in
That
those
happen in
books
those
and those
books is-
are such great learnings that
Because they're real stories.
they are
and
real stories,
yeah.
right? And obviously, having slightly, I think, a creative bent of mind, my imagination is
Yeah.
extremely strong. So I start building these stories and all, and then I use those in real life, right? I use this in our day-to-day life. I use it in our brand communication, etc., etc. We love, for no reason at all, we write scripts. पैसे तो है नहीं produce करने को, but we write
You never
scripts
know. You may just bump into somebody
I know.
who does.
I know, so I speak to a lot of my production friends and all. I said, "Yeah, script to ready hai. Why don't you do it for free?" To date, I haven't got a answer, but yeah, I guess someday somebody will do
Someday,
it,
yes,
right?
you never know.
So yeah, these are the fun things that I do. So no conventional books that have, but yeah, these fun, easy, relatable.
Storytelling. Yeah.
Books is something that I like. I do like a lot of other stuff also, but yeah.
But this is what. So, did somebody recommend this to you, or how did you?
No, I think as a child, right, I loved spinning stories and I loved writing stories. In fact, I used to write a lot. So naturally, I veered towards this. Yeah, people talk and all that.
Yeah.
See, we are from a generation where everything was centric to only social gatherings and maybe Doordarshan, to today where every
Everything
information is available. So we've had the good fortune of getting inputs from a lot of places, right? But yeah, that's how I've had stages of reading, right? So there are some stages of life where I used to read voraciously. I used to finish 3 books in a week.
Oh.
And then sometimes I'm one of those who keeps buying books, but just storing it for the day I will one day
One
get
day
time to
get
read
time
it.
to read them.
So, I've lo and behold, I've created a library of 500-600 books.
Wow.
Right? But I think 40% of those are still to be read.
You have a long way to go.
Yes, I said someday we will retire and start reading all these books.
Good thought. Okay, you've seen the industry evolve across 3 decades. What keeps you creatively excited today?
People, by far.
Yeah.
You know, the way people vibe, the way they react. To me, to date, I work with a lot of young team members, people, etc., partners.
The Gen Zs.
Whatever Z's you call them, right? But they are youngsters because, you know, the lack of fear, right?
Yeah.
Allows them to give you thoughts and ideas
Yes.
which are outstanding. In fact, when we started Leafbud, पैसे तो नहीं थे. So we got this whole bunch of kids who were like 18, 19, who were just about on the verge of going into design and school and art school, etc. So creative kids who were pursuing that, and they came to our office. Unlike a regular hire who knows who Kewal Kotian is and this guy been from the industry and all, these kids have no idea
No
who I
idea.
am. And they have no fear of me, therefore.
Exactly.
Right? So these little 19-year-old kids used to tell me, shut up, what a bad idea you're giving.
Yeah.
Here's a better idea.
They don't have apprehensions of saying no.
So-
They don't have apprehensions of, saying that, what are you talking? They're very clear on their communication.
Absolutely. So they're very clear. They're a clean slate. So they're very clear about this is a good idea, this is a bad idea. Our job is really to guide them post that, right? And they're so clear and pure about it now that if they make a mistake, they'll say, okay, sorry. Khatam.
They admit
there is no baggage with them.
Yeah.
So after my initial literal state of shock at the way that they're operating, I began to enjoy it thoroughly. And I said, boss, this is what you have to leverage now.
Yeah.
So almost all of them, they enjoy. They even now, they have all gone to college and all that stuff. They even now, when they're back in Bombay, they're all over the country, they make it a point to visit us. They have fun, and it's noisy in the usually silent office, very noisy when they're there. But it was a great experience, right? I learned a lot from them.
That's very interesting. Okay, if you were to sum up your professional journey in a movie title, what would it be?
Series of unfortunate events. Unfortunate or not is still...
Which led to a fortunate
I don't
Leafbud.
know. So that story is still continuing. So purely as a movie title, series of unfortunate events. But unfortunate or not, we'll come to know. जब series 3 episode 4 हो जाएगा.
आपने तो पूरी series बना ली है.
हाँ, काफी है because like I was telling you before we had the mic on, right? Everything was nothing was planned. Everything one thing led to the other. A lot of good things. So no regrets.
Wonderful. What are the 3 values that guide everything you create, no matter the industry?
Thoughtfulness, empathy, and creativity.
Yeah, wonderful. Let's get into some fun section now.
Sure.
Right? I'm going to do a rapid fire.
I'm sure we
with
were
you.
having fun even now.
Yes, we were, but this is like for the audience to do a rapid fire with you.
Okay, great.
Okay. Spy novel or brand book?
Spy novel, by far. Brand we do all day.
Okay. Mumbai monsoons or Delhi ki sardi?
I think I'll take Bangalore. It has both monsoon and sardi.
No, but it still doesn't have Delhi ki sardi, You can't
नहीं
go
नहीं
to
correct. That's what ना दिल्ली की सर्दी बहुत ज़्यादा है, monsoon बॉम्बे की बहुत ज़्यादा है. I'll take Bangalore.
Okay. PowerPoint pitch or paper napkin sketch?
Paper napkin sketch.
Dinner with David Ogilvy or Steve Jobs?
Oh, yeah, सब ज्ञानी है. Maybe I'll leave them to have dinner.
I'll
go with
alone.
someone else.
You'll take your 2 dinner set and
Correct.
probably go find a date for yourself.
Yeah. There, I don't know what I will tell them and they will not know what to tell me, I guess.
Okay. Ceramics में earthy tones or bold colors?
Earthy tones, that's the nature of
The
Leafbud.
nature of it. Okay. Okay, now this is a this or that game. So you need to choose one. Creative chaos or strategic structure?
Creative structure.
Okay. Solo brainstorm or team huddle?
Again, so it's going to be a team brainstorm where I make a decision.
See, this was a this and that. You're mixing everything. You want everything, it seems.
That's what now in the 30 years in the grinder you will have balanced out everything, right?
Okay, pitching to a startup founder or a Fortune 500 CEO?
Startup founder, because I learned something from him.
Okay, great. Branding first or product first?
Product.
Product. Debate to win or discussion to learn?
Discussion to learn by far.
Yeah, perfect. That was wonderful, Kewal. It was great having you here. Had some very
Thank you so
interesting
much.
conversations with you. Some very insightful. And I love the fact that storytelling is your key, because I believe that very strongly that, stories stick to you. So
Yeah.
thank you for being on
I
our
hope
show.
you enjoyed the interview. It seems like only two of us enjoyed the interview, right?
I'm sure the audience will too.
I think some people on this side are still frowning.
Well, you can't make everybody happy. So
Yeah, I guess
that's life.
that is life, and
Yeah.
that's how we sell our products, right? It will not make everyone happy, but the ones who are happy will be very happy.
Very happy with it.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you so
and
much for your time. It was great fun talking to you.
Thank you, Kewal. And really wish and hope and pray that your leaf bud grows many more leaves.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.